Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking about the exit game, The Abandoned Cabin. Just finished this with my wife and sister and her husband, and we had an absolute blast. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. So basically, I want to make this a fairly quick video. I have a lot to say about this. I'm really excited about these exit games, what they are in case you don't know anything about them. It's basically an escape room that you can play at home. And so what that looks like is you open up the box here, you've got the rules, you can read through it, tells you how to do it. A lot of these are similar, so once you've played one, you're going to see a lot of similar things in the rest of the games too. And this is one of the things they have is it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have the base back here, and then you can rotate these other 3 dials. And once you do, you pick you're looking for 3 number digit codes, or sometimes it's colors. So like on this one, you might be looking for colors, different things like that. And on the middle, once you think you have it, it gives you a number, which then correlates to, let's move some of this other stuff, correlates to the answer cards. And so you have, oh man, where'd all the answer cards go? You have these different blue answer cards. So if you think it's number 9, you'd look at that and then it would tell you if you're right or not. So I love that aspect, that mechanic of the game I think is really helpful. If you get stuck, they have help cards. So you find the one you want. There's a first help, a second help, and there's an actual solution if you just can't figure it out and you need to get by and get the solution. So here are the answer cards right here. There's a bunch of them. They have numbers on them that correlate to that inner dial that we were talking about. And then you have riddle cards that give you different clues and hints and things that you have to figure out. Sometimes there's other little pieces in the game. This has like one little notch out of it. This has another notch out of it there. Sometimes you use the game box, which is really clever. And then these, this is a little bit of a sneak peek, but here's some of the little bits and clues that are in here, different rooms with different things you have to find. Here's some little bits here that I had to cut out of these actual cards. And so that's another thing to note is that these games are not games that you can play more than once. So that's something just to be aware of is you're purchasing this in comparison to being able to go to an escape room. And so if you have 4 people playing this for a cheaper cost than going to an actual escape room, that's one thing that definitely is a huge benefit to being able to play this game instead is, you have that one low cost that you're paying for all of you guys to be able to play this escape room. You can do it whenever you want, you do it at home, that kind of a thing. And so I really, really love that. These are super clever, they're super in-depth. A lot of them, in fact, by the time I get done with them, I'm exhausted. Like I'm ready to be done. And I think that says a lot to the value of what you're getting here. It's not something you breathe through super fast. You're like mentally engaged for up to 2 hours and sometimes longer if you're having a hard time. If you've never played any of these, I would definitely recommend starting out with some of the easier ones and then digging in deeper. If you have played another and you're curious about this one specifically, one thing that's interesting about this one is it gives you, at the beginning of the game, you can look through the entire book. You can look through this entire book, which we have ripped some pages out of, which may or may not be a hint that you can have for free. But it's really interesting because most of them start out, you look at one page at a time with certain riddle cards that you may be getting. And so you look at riddle card A and page 1, and then you have to solve that before moving on. So this is one that's really interesting because you're trying to keep track of a lot of different things all at once. You may have to go back in the book to see different things. You may have to go forward. You may have to go back to riddle cards you haven't solved yet. There's a lot going on trying to keep track of. And so if that sounds fun to you, I would definitely recommend the Abandoned Cabin escape room game. If not, then they have a lot of other ones that are much more detailed and figure out this hint before you move on to figure out this clue before you move on to the next one. Then solve this, then move on to the next one, kind of in chunks. And so depending on how your brain works and how much of a challenge you want, yeah, this is one that I would recommend for you, or maybe I wouldn't, depending on what you're looking for. So hope that gives you guys a taste of what this specific one is, what the exit games are in general, and it's helpful for you guys. That's what the hope of this video is. So thanks a lot for listening, and hopefully that gives you a taste of what this is, what it does, and why it may or may not be right for you. Thanks.